Hi everyone, it's Josh Kenny again, and in this one we'll be going over forms within SwiftUI. So before we actually start our project here, I want to go ahead and open up the simulator, and inside the simulator device I want to open up settings and show you a form. So here we have your general, and you should see a lot of this on your own iPhone. Now one thing you're not going to see is airplane mode, which is kind of a bummer because we're going to be building that in this app, and I wanted you to see the actual logo. So if you have an iPhone, open up settings and look at your airplane mode and what it looks like. You'll see a toggle, which you can toggle on and off, and then you'll have the word airplane mode, and then you'll have the little image like you're seeing here of the orange background with the white airplane. So we'll be building that as well as text fields and other things inside of your form. And then I'll show you little things along the way, like showing sections, handling your toggle with a Boolean, also things like adding a picker into your form, and some other cool things. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this and make this a little bit bigger for you guys. And we're going to go ahead and open up Xcode. Go to, when you're in Xcode, go into File, New, and then click on Project. So, and then you'll get to this page here. From here, you want to click on iOS tab, make sure App is selected, and then hit Next. We're going to name this SwiftUI Forms. You can name it whatever you like. Your team, it should be your name on your team, or if you have a team name, name it that. Your organization identifier, mine is kennycare.com, so it's just backwards. So it's com dot whatever your name is. And this can be anything you want. You don't have to actually have a domain to have this organizer identifier. So keep that in mind. The interface, of course, is going to be SwiftUI because that's what we're learning. Then lifecycle, keep SwiftUI app. And then language is Swift. And lastly, make sure use core data and includes tests are off, because not checked, because we're not going to be using that in this video. Hit next, hit create, or select where you want to create it, and then it'll go ahead and open up your project. Hit resume, and then let this over here, which if you click on this little button here, you can see canvas is checked. That's what this is. So to uncheck it, your canvas goes away. So when I'm saying canvas in this video, that is what I am talking about. And then you click on these lines here to go down and check canvas again to show it again. So it just kind of keeps it together and shows you as you build in SwiftUI what it's building. So to start this off, we're going to go ahead and make a text field. So right now we have a text. We're going to go ahead and erase text, and go ahead and erase this padding number thing as well. And we're going to do text field instead. And text field, that's where the user is able to actually add their own text in there, which I'll show you in a minute. So text field, then you do a parentheses, and then you'll see there's a whole bunch of different kinds you want. You can read through those, and I highly recommend you do. At the bottom here, it'll tell you what each of these mean. But we're going to go to the very top one where you see that localized string key and then the binding string. Go ahead and click on that, and then it'll populate this for us. So we're going to name this first one user. And this could be anything you want, but I'm going to show you what it is. It's a placeholder for us, and I'll show you in a second. This next thing you're going to see, though, is kind of weird and probably new to you, even if you worked with Swift before. You're going to see this weird word called binding, and then it's going to be of type string. Okay, so let's go up here and let's add in a variable for us. Nope, sorry, got distracted. So underneath this content view here, we're gonna add our variable. So we'll do var, and we'll name this. The user, just to keep it unique, and we'll set this to equal nothing right now. Okay, so we're used to using variables, and we're going to pass this now into string, but let's see what happens. So let's type in the user, and then let's go ahead and hit try, and you'll see we'll get an error here. It'll say You know, you can't use this string when it's needing or it's expecting an argument of binding string. And how you fix this is with an @state, which you'll use @states throughout SwiftUI. Now this is going, oh, I put that in the wrong spot. That's funny. This is going to allow you to pass in this variable here. And whenever we put in information and we hit like maybe a save button or something, that information will go ahead and store up into this the user variable that we just created. And we did all that by just this @state. So now we're still getting an error here, and it's saying cannot convert this to this. You need to insert a $sign. So you insert a $sign when you're passing @state variables. Keep that in mind. And you know, Swift is a type safe language, so it's going to go ahead and tell you that, hey, you need a $sign. Go ahead and fix that now, and then you can. Okay, so now let's go ahead and hit try again. And we should be seeing, instead of this text here, we're going to be seeing a text field. There it is. Now it doesn't look the prettiest, but you can see the user in it. And then once you click on this, well, you got to hit play here for your canvas to actually interact with this. So now you hit click there. Once you start typing, that user goes away. And once you erase everything back to nothing, that user pops up again because we set it here. Now, if you wanted to set this to username, which you might see a lot as well, see, now it's going to say username there. So that's what this first one is. I'm going to keep it as user. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add in our form, because that's the main concept of this video. You do that by holding down Command, clicking on this text field, and then go down and click on embed. And now we can name this whatever we want. We're going to name it form because that's what we're needing. From there, it automatically takes it and makes it into a pretty looking form. And all we did was one thing. We just embedded this. Now we want to go ahead and, if you remember correctly, with this simulator here at the top here, we have a settings. That's on the navigation view. So we're going to go ahead and embed form as well. Come on. And then we're going to go ahead and do navigation view. And then you're going to get a space automatically. See how that user just now went down? Because now we have a space here. And from there, we can actually go ahead now and add in NavigationView and pass in a title. And we're going to name it settings because that's what we're messing with. And automatically you'll see settings is popping up. Now it's starting to look pretty good. All right, so now the next thing I want to show you guys is that toggle. And the way we do the toggle is by adding another state variable here. And we're going to name this airplane mode is on. And we're going to set this to true. And now inside here, we have this form now. Okay, now below this form, we want to set that airplane mode up. So how do we do it? Well, we're going to do a toggle because that's what we're wanting. We're wanting, if you look at your phone, I know I couldn't show you in the simulator, but if you look at your phone, you'll see your toggle, which it's got the little icon, the name airplane mode, and all the way to the right side of the phone is the toggle switch on and off. That's what we need. So type in toggle there, we get that there, and then you'll see a couple of different items we have here. And we're going to go with this localized string. And again, you'll see this binding needs to be a Boolean of binding. That's why we did the state up there, because it's a binding variable. So the title for this is going to be airplane mode. And then you're going to pass this in. And again, you need the $sign first, and then you're going to pass in airplane mode is on. Okay, from there, let's see where we're at. We're going to hit resume. And there we go. We're already seeing airplane mode and a toggle that you can click on and off. It's working just like it's supposed to. Now, how do we implement the actual airplane logo there? So first off, I want to show you one thing that you need to have if you don't, and it's called SF Symbols. It's an app. You go on Google, just on your Macs, type in FS Symbols, download, and it'll take you out to download it. And all it is all the symbols that you can get inside of Apple or with Apple documentation. And then it'll show you what they are. So we see right here airplane. And again, I looked at my phone to see which airplane they're using. And this one was the one Apple is using. So not the one with the circle or even the fill, but you can use any of these. And you use them by their name there. So we're just going to use airplane. And you can go down and click on any of these and get ideas, or you can search. So say you want to search for an actual search image. Type in search, and there you go. You start getting magnifying glasses. You need that in your app. And that's how you use it. So this SF Symbols is pretty cool stuff, and I highly recommend you download it if you don't already have it. I'll attach that link in the description below. Moving on, let's go ahead. Now we know we need that airplane word to get the airplane to pop up. So we want to put it over here. So to do that, we need to put this in what's called a VStack or an HStack, because it horizon or horizontal goes this way, and that's the stack we're needing. So the way we do that is we go right here to this toggle, because that's what we're messing with. And we're going to embed in again. Again, it's command click, go to embed, and we're going to type in H, and you're going to see it, HStack right there. And of course, they have a VStack for vertical as well, and that's straight up and down. And the way I always remember that is like in basketball or any sport, when they're saying, what's your vertical? Or man, their vertical is really high because they're jumping, they're going up. So that's vertical. But you should know horizontal and vertical, but that's just how I remember it. So now we embedded toggle into HStack, and now we can do something pretty cool. We can actually add that image. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So we're going to add an image, and then from there, we need it to be a system name, because that's what the SF symbols are. Those are already made icons, and they're underneath system name. So if you type in system inside here, you'll see the system name. Click on that. And now we got to pass in that system name. And that is, as we already know, airplane. And as soon as I did that, you can see an airplane populated over here. It's looking great. But what if we wanted to add, just like we saw with our simulator? Where'd that go? What if we wanted to add a background like this? So not just the symbol, we want to actually have the whole icon. Within the airplane mode is an orange one that looks exactly like this. Well, we can do that as well with what's called a ZStack. So embed inside of this as well, you want a ZStack. So click on the image, embed, and just do Z. You'll see the ZStack there. And then from the image, we're going to add in front a rectangle. It would be a square, you would think that, but square isn't in SwiftUI. So you can type in square, you're not going to see anything. But if you type in rectangle, you will. And if we just do a normal rectangle, it'll be black automatically, and then it'll give us, what it looks like. But you see how, because we did the HStack, it's sitting next to the airplane mode toggle. And then since we did a ZStack, this square or rectangle right now is sitting on top of our image. That's what we want. So horizontal goes this way, vertical goes this way, and then a Z-stack sits on top. So you can stack images right on top of each other. So let's go ahead and make that a little bit smaller and start shaping it up a little bit. So we'll go to this rectangle, and I like when I'm making this stuff look a little nicer, I like to go underneath it and do my dots. So we'll start with a frame, and we'll do a width, height, and you don't need a alignment. You could do a center if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and take away the alignment and just do the width and height. And first off, let's start by 60. 60 by 60, see what that looks like. To me, that's a little too big. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that in half and do a 30 by 30, and that's looking a lot nicer. Okay, so now we're still black on black though. So that's not really what we want to see. So we can change that by doing foreground color. And we're going to change it by doing the orange because that's what the symbol is, or the color is, for airplane mode on our device. The next thing you probably noticed is in this simulator, these are rounded. So it's not like a perfect square like we're seeing here. And the way you change that is by going down here, drag that out a little bit to make it look nicer, do a dot, and then you want to type in corner, and you'll see corner radius here. And my favorite is always 10, corner radius 10. It always looks good to me no matter what I'm messing with, but of course you can make this radius whatever you want. Let's do 60, and it's a circle, see that? Or you can do 30, you know, and it's, well, this is a little small, so a lot of them is going to be a circle, but the higher you go, the more rounded it's getting, is basically how you look at that. If that was a bigger image, just think of it, the more you go, the rounder it's getting until it becomes a circle. 10 is what I like though. Still kind of gives you that square shape, but it rounds out the edges. All right, now the last thing you see here is that airplane. That's black. We want that to be white because that's how it looks on our phone. So this image here, we can do the exact same thing. I'm going to give you a second. What do you think that is the correct way of actually changing that from black to white? If you said the foreground color, you are right. So go underneath this image, do your dot, and then type in foreground. You'll see foreground color, and then we're going to do white, dot white. And there it is. So just like that, and what are we at right now? Not even 30 lines of code right here. And we have already got a nice looking form set up. You know, we have a text field that you can type in. Now we have an airplane mode that we can toggle on and off just like our phone. And we're going to continue to move on with this and add more to the form. So how about we add in a section in our form? We can do that by going to this text field here and embedding in the section. So type in section and then in parentheses, and we'll go down to this header content here. And then you want to go ahead and erase the header part because you don't need it. And then inside this, the content part, excuse me, inside this header, just type in text with capital T, and then we're going to pass in a text here. And that's going to be profiles, and just keep profile and keep it all capital because I think it looks nicer that way. And if we go ahead and hit resume, you'll see above this user here now, we have a section that is sectioned off. But I want airplane mode to actually be in this section as well. And you can see where section is, only the text field actually made it. So we need to add this whole part in as well. So let's do this. And then let's paste that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Command A, Control I, and reformat that a little bit. But now you'll see they're together in a group. There's no spacing, and it's called profile. Looking good. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in a couple of variables, and then we'll go ahead and discuss them and add those in as well. So you're going to see we're having a push notifications are on true. Then we're going to have a preview index. We're going to start that at 0. And then we're going to have a variable that's not state. That's just going to have an array of 3 things, whether it's either always on, when unlocked, or never. Now we're going to go ahead and implement this underneath this section, and we're going to make another section. So right here, we're going to go ahead and type in section again and do the exact same thing. So do header, and then you'll do text, wrap the text, and whatever we want to call this. We're going to call this notifications. And then we're going to start building it here. So the first thing with the notifications, what do we want? So I was thinking, you know, having a toggle and then having like a picker. So we'll do the toggle first, and we're pretty familiar with that, so I'll go through it. With your toggle, we're going to do, this is on binding. We're going to name this push notifications. And then we're going to set this to what I just created up there, and that's push notifications are on. And now we will see that. Underneath that, let's go ahead and add a picker. And then with that, we're going to do this section label content one. So for the section, we are going to pass in what we built up there with the $ first, and then we're going to do this preview index. So that's what it's going to look for. And it's set to 0 right now. This next thing is we can go ahead and get rid of what they give us. They give us a couple for the pickers, but we're not going to use theirs. So you want to go ahead and get rid of this all the way up to this text picker, like so. And then we're going to add our curly brackets. From here is where we do our logic. So let's do a for each loop. And then we're going to go in, so 0, ... less than. And then what are we going to go less than? Well, we're going to add this guy here. So this preview options dot count, because we need the actual integer of that. Okay, and then once it goes through there, then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do text. First of all, we got to set the text. This is going to be same thing, the preview options, but instead of the dot count, we're going to pass in the array brackets, and then we're going to do $0. So this is going to be the name. So every time we go in these and grab one, it's going to take the very first one of the array. And let's see how that looks. So if we go ahead and hit command run, we'll get the simulator popping up. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. I don't want it to be to my iPhone. There it is. And here we go. So now we have the profile section there. Then we have the notification section here. We have our toggle for push notifications. We can turn it on and off. And then we have a picker. Oh, we didn't change the name here. So let's change this to show previews. Run that again, just so I can show you. So now it says show previews here instead of just the normal text that it comes with. So then whenever you click this picker, now we get to choose this. So this is exactly what we said here. So if you want to add different stuff, you can. But let's choose when unlocked. And now it populates here because that's that logic we did. It's looking through there, it's grabbing that count, and it's showing the first one, which is one we just selected. And that's what's showing as the text that we set up here. That's how that actually works. Let's add another section real quick here. And we're going to name this one the about. So section, and we should be pretty familiar now with this. Do the header. We don't need to add content to this yet. We can do that in another video. We're just focusing on using the actual sections. So the text here inside of there, let's just name this about. All right, and then your curly brackets, and then inside here, what are we going to do? So we want to add two things. We want to add the version. So we want it to say version, and then on the other side, we want it to say the actual version number. So the way we'll pass that in is with a text, and then we'll name that just version. And then if I go ahead and resume this here, you'll see version looks good. But if I add another text here, you know, and I try to pass that in, let's just say it's 2.0, it's the first version. Look, it goes below this. We want this to be on the same line. And if you notice before, we did that here when we put the airplane mode and then the image here next to it. And again, going like this is horizontal, so the HStack. So that's what we need to embed here. So we can go ahead, Let's see if we can highlight this. I don't even know if we can do this. Nope, just one. That's okay. So we'll do the HStack, and then I'll go ahead and add this text in there as well. And then we're going to look and see. I'll run it so we can see it on the simulator. And we'll see they're too close together. They're not spaced out like everything else is, so it doesn't look that well. Well, there's a little trick that we can do here, and it's called a spacer. So capital S, B-A-C-E-R, and then you'll do the parentheses, and then this will push everything away. So if it's in a vertical stack, it'll push everything to the top and the bottom of the view. And with the horizontal stack, everything to the left and the right, or the leading and the trailing is what it's called. So now let's go ahead and run that again, and you'll see they are spaced out like they're supposed to. And the last thing I want to show you guys is a button to this form. So let's go ahead and go here, add another section because we want it to be on its own. We're not going to actually add a header here. So go ahead and enter in a button inside of this. And then you'll have different options. We're just going to use the action and the label. The action is where the code happens. So in this case, we're going to set it to print out, erase all settings, because this isn't really working. But in your app, this is where your logic will go. Whatever you want that button to do, that's where you would put it here on this action. Code goes here. And then the button label, that's what the label's actually going to be. Not what I wanted to do. And we're going to name this erase all content and settings. That's what our iPhones say as it is. So I was just going to copy that part. And then let's run this really quick. And there it is right there. Now I want to do a little bit further and kind of do what I did up here. So let's go ahead and add that gear. So we have that gear in our phone for settings. Let's put it next to this. And then someone can click on that and actually erase it. So first off, before I do that, we're underneath this code goes here. Let's just add a simple print statement. And here we're going to do all setting have been restored to factory settings. And again, just something we're just setting up. It's not real. I'll run this one last time. To test that part, if you hit this, then you'll see it prints out in our console here. All settings have been restored. Great, so that is working. Let's do this final part here, and that's what we're gonna add. So we're going to need to add a HStack. So let's embed in this button an HStack. And then inside that, we're going to add that square, or I'm sorry, rectangle. We're going to make that rectangle. Well, let's go ahead while we have this and embed in that ZStack that we know we need as well. But inside this rectangle, let's go ahead and do the logic. We're going to need, or not logic, let's do the UI. We're going to need to make that a frame. And we're going to copy exactly what we did up there. So frame width and height was 30. Get rid of the alignment. We don't care about that for this instance. Then we're going to add the color. So the color for this, let me look at my iPhone real quick. And it's like a gray, so like a light gray. So let's do foreground color. And then add a gray. And then let's go ahead and add that image. And let me make sure, yeah, image goes second. So if you would have put the image on top in front of that rectangle, then you wouldn't see it because the rectangle would be sitting on top covering up the image. So we want to make sure the image comes second. But before we do that, we got to know what image we're talking about. So let's open up this SF symbols and let's search settings. And here's the gears. I think it's this middle one looks the best. No, it's this one. It looks more like this one. but not exactly. So we'll use that, so gear. All right, so we're going to go ahead and right here, add the image. We're going to make it a system name. And that's going to be gear. I believe that was black. Oh, it's white. Foreground color is white. All right, let's run and see what that looks like so far. Not the exact gray, but that's okay. But one last thing we need to do is we need to make those rounded. So we're going to do radius, corner radius. We're going to set that to 10. And now let's run it. All right, so we got our user that we can type in, fake user. Then we have our fake airplane mode we can turn on and off. Then you can see your difference in your sections. Then we have our push notifications. Then we also added a picker. Lastly, we went and came down here and added the button. So now when you press this, it prints off all of them have been erased. And that's going to do it for forms with SwiftUI. Hopefully this was beneficial for you. And if you guys have any questions, like always, feel free to drop a comment or questions below. If you want to see my upcoming content, go ahead and hit that bell button. For sure, like this and subscribe to the channel so I can get my content out to you and others. Thank you. Bye.